To have a good and effective communication, it is important to know the person whom you are talking to or the audiences like you. For today's video, dear educators, you are going to know who am I, what kind of program I chose in college, and what kind of a public speaker am I. Maadyung aga, or shall I say, good day. My name is David Bangkidigo. I am 21 years old. I am currently living at Kampaklan, Sibulan, Negros Oriental. I now studying at Negros Oriental State University in my 4th year. Something that I can share about me is I love humanitarian service. Something about back with our family, if you are in Sibulan, you are known for family of politicians and service to people. We have relatives like lawyers, government officials, ASCII chairmen. That's why it's in the blood. That's why I love humanitarian services. I joined the Negros Oriental State University, Red Cross Youth for 3 years already, an officer and auditor. And I extend my services outside the campus at Negros Oriental chapter here in our province. So we've done first aid stationing, we've done social welfare services around Negros Oriental or outside Negros Oriental. Something unique about me is I can do male and female voices. That's why I am now a current president of the North Kabiling Benfiral under Professor Miriam Ilyaga. Also, I am a introvert person, but if you fit me in the huge crowd, I can blend flexible enough to end up in the diverse community. That's why I've done services for humanitarian services. We talk a lot of people. That's why it's in my heart to serve the community and chose to be an educator someday. I chose BSEd, or Bachelor of Secondary Education, specializing Filipino language. So according to the CHED, or Memorandum Order, or CEMO, number 75, under Series 2017, we have 7 objectives. Now I'm going to choose 2 of the 7 objectives. So first objective is nakapagpapakita ng malawak at malalim na pag-unawa at kaalaman sa ugnayan ng wika, kultura at lipunan. Malawak at malalim na pag-unawa. Which means to have a deeper understanding towards the subject Filipino language or on the connection of the language, the culture, and the community and the people. Meaning, the wika, kultura at lipunan ay may koneksyon sa isa't isa. No? Language have a connection to the culture, which culture inspires using this language in order to spread the kind of culture they have to the community or the lipunan. So to have this understanding, to have this knowledge or kaligiran, so kung tinatawag sa Pilipino, no, each of this concept had the connection of each other. For example, the language and the culture. No, in our culture, we have a lot of culture in the Philippines. For example, singing, we have the tribal dance, the festival, the writings, the poems, the dancing, the poetry that we write, the literature, all of the writings, and also non-writing aspects. It all connected to the language itself. Because how we are going to deliver our culture, our own culture, without using our very own language? The language that binds us all, the language that unites us all, the language that makes people understand or relate to it, to our culture. I know that in our culture we have different dialects out of many dialects in the Philippines because we are an archipelago country. It means that in archipelago country or its islands, they have their own language or they are their own dialect itself, but out from the origin of the Filipino language. So that's how it's it. So we have this connection is because that as we start understanding or discovering our own culture, it binds to our original Filipino language. And this language also connected to the community because the people use the language, and when they use the language, they create their own culture. It sounds confusing, but there is a connection there. For example, people speak Tagalog. He can write a song, he can write poems out of it. And that poems or the songs became the culture in the Philippines. That's why we have the kulturang popular, or the popular culture in the Philippines. And this kind of diversity that we have, the culture that we have, it creates another phase, another model of the Philippine language. And that's how Philippine language is still alive. Because we say in the Filipino and the part that we say, kung hindi mo mamahalin ng wika at hindi mo itong ginagamit, mamamatay ang wika. No? If we used to use our own language, a Filipino language, or even if you are American or English language, if you don't use that language anymore, that language will die. Example, we used to speak universal language, and I speak right now the English language, throughout of life since birth. Then all of, in the country, no, we use English now as a permanent language. So that Filipino language we're going to die, but not what's going to go. That's never gonna happen, because we are here. Filipino language that inspires you as the audiences or the Filipino students to speak language or love the Filipino language that we have, or that fought to our national heroes or the peoples behind this language. The second objective, which close to my heart, especially that we are doing this right now, is nakagagawa ng panaliksik, which means we make researches. Nakagawa ng panaliksik tungkol sa ikaunlad ng wikang Filipino, on how we upgraded or how we're going to nourish Filipino language, or move the Filipino language to the next level, or the competency of our research in the changing modernization of time, bilang wikang pagtuturo or wikang pantuturo, which means that as we researchers of Filipino language, no, we tend to upgrade the level of competency. That's why it's going to be used to teaching young students, no, this discoveries, the outcomes of these researches will benefit the students and the one who's specializing this subject. It is a tough job to be a public speaker. Now, if you ask me who am I as a speaker, what are my strengths and weaknesses? So one of my strengths as a public speaker is the way of my persuasive skills. When we say persuasive skills, it's more about how you deliver your speech, how you entertain people, have the connection, have the rapport to your audiences that relates to your topic, the way you speak, the emotions, the way you convey, the diction, and also learning how your audiences may prefer you to speak of. In persuasive skills, we see speakers a lot of examples. Now, me as a public speaker, I mostly commonly focus on the exact example that supports my stand, which is relevant, which is very specific. Because if you spoil or you share about general topics that connection or directly focus on the concept that you are talking to, that may tend to distract the audiences or not might be interested to the way you speak or the way you deliver your speak. So as a public speaker, I will share to you one of the strategies is a good persuasive skills, the way you perceive your audiences on the topic that you have, how interesting your topic, what are the benefits, no, what are the reality, no, what answers the questions of your topic, or what ideas, what knowledge you want to share to your audiences, the way it effectively delivered, and the flow of the presentation and the flow of the speech is very well authentic, and as well it's very clear. One of my weaknesses as a public speaker, as a speaker, no, I always not controlling on my hand gestures right now. Sometimes these hand gestures might be destructive. The audience may have focus on your hands rather than your speaking. That's why I mostly minimize my hand gestures, but it's not also relevant to the way I speak or the words that I spoke to my audiences. Sometimes hand gestures might have the confusion to the audiences because hand gestures may have their own meaning. For example, is this with me? You tend to persuade that it is a cycle or a repetition, but then some of the audiences might think that you aren't crazy because you're doing like this. That's why you need to be mindful. You need to be careful on your hand gestures. That's why I'm still on the progress of limiting my hand gestures because I used to speak doing hand gestures because it made me comfortable enough to speak up the words in my mind and to convey my audiences to my topic that I am going to share with them.